Hello friends and loved ones, and welcome to another Pointless Persona Picks, the show where I highlight 5 of the best instances of whatever I think is worth discussing. Because while they may seem pointless, even the smallest thing has the potential to offer up something incredible. Since I'm looking at concepts far and wide throughout all of Persona, consider this your spoiler warning for the series as a whole. Exactly 10 years ago today, I did a video on the top 5 sodas in video games. An admittedly very outdated list, and I can think of plenty of better sodas that I would put on it now. Heck, I put the Super Soda from Paper Mario on there when that's not even the best soda in Paper Mario. I should have totally put Bobbery's Chocola-Cola from the Thousand Year Door. But much like how I celebrated 10 years since the release of my top 5 sandwiches video by looking at the top 5 burgers in Persona, let's narrow the focus here and dedicate this Pointless Persona Picks to the top 5 sodas in the Persona series. And just to clarify up front, I understand that some of these may not count as soda in the traditional sense and technically fall under other categories like seltzers or energy drinks, but screw it. If it's bubbly and non-alcoholic, I'm counting it. And hey, since part of that video 10 years ago was my very first collab ever with my buddy at Heemin Gamin Station, let's go ahead and welcome him back to the channel. Chet, you ready to talk about the best sodas in Persona with me?
Do they have Nuka-Cola Quantum in Persona?
Oh, I don't think so, no.
Then, nah, not really interested. Thanks anyway, though!
Well, okay then. Guess I'll be chugging along solo as I check out these buzzworthy beverages and captivating colas. Let's get started. Sometimes all it takes for an item to make these lists is to just be memorable, even if it doesn't really contribute all that much. And that's certainly how I feel about Makoto Nijima's can of Grape and Grape Monta from her and Ryuji Showtime in Persona 5 Royal. There's not a whole lot to really say about this one. What you see is what you get. The showtime opens up with Ryuji cracking a Fist of the North Star joke, then Makoto elbowing him before she unleashes a barrage of bizarre punches, and then Ryuji hands her a can of grape soda. She crushes it in one hand, Ryuji gets what his therapist assures me is a perfectly normal boner, and that's about it. I really do just love the detail, and this one shot where she just kinda stares at the can, which gives us a good look at it. It's obviously a play on Fanta, and I like that this soda is apparently both white and purple grape flavor. One detail about all the Showtime attacks in Persona 5 Royal is their names referencing popular films, with this attack being called Mad Moxie, which is obviously a play on Mad Max. But I like that it also acknowledges the soft drink usage in the attack, with Moxie being a root-based cola that's been around for 150 years, and is actually where the word Moxie comes from as a character trait, referring to someone with grit and determination. So yeah, it may just be a tiny little detail in a specific attack animation, but it definitely stands out to me, and it has me asking that all-important question. Wonta Monta? I'm tired of diets, enough with going to the gym, good thing there's something even I can handle. This is the slogan for Quelorie Magic, a soft drink from Persona 4 advertised by pop idol Rosette. I'm not entirely sure what type of drink this is, I imagine it's similar to like a LaCroix, but the commercial for it is one of the very first things we see in the game, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say it leaves an impression. The tagline for this soda even comes back in the Marukyou striptease dungeon, with her shadow self spitting out the satirical catchphrase. It's not something you'll get very often, but you can actually get a can of Quelorie Magic for yourself from Yukiko by encouraging her in the dungeons. Kinda weird to me that you get this from Yukiko and not Rise herself, but whatever. And honestly, if that had been it, I probably would have had this back at the number 5 slot, but Quelorie Magic gets weirdly expanded upon in Golden, or more specifically, the catchphrase for it does. At some point, Marie must have seen that commercial with Rise in it, likely when she was shopping in the city with you, or even just during her trip to Junes, but Marie, rather cheekily, uses the catchphrase to just kinda mess with Rise, getting it wrong in a way that annoys the pop star, and even using it as an excuse to hold on tightly to you after the investigation team rescues her at the end of her dungeon. I found this aspect of their character dynamic really cute and funny, and appreciated Marie using Rosette's own tagline to make her jealous. The soft drink itself really isn't anything all that special, even as an item it's just a fairly useless HP recovery item, but it creates a strong first impression to Rise and the world of Persona 4 as a whole, and it manages to sneak itself back into the game in a way I enjoyed. Plus, it's the only soda on this list to have its own theme song, and that's pretty hard to ignore. Okay, this is the one that probably most stretches the definition of a soda, but I'm counting the mocktails from Jazz Gin in Persona 5 Royal because some of them are just straight up called sodas. Specifically, I'm referring to the Sunday sodas, where you can invite one of your party members to the relaxing jazz club to enjoy one of the bright, colorful drinks, have a little fun chat with them, and then they also learn some pretty incredible skills if you know the right days to go. The drinks all have distinct names and colors, with most of them being straightforward, like Maracunda Soda, which teaches your party member Maracunda, but my absolute favorite is Debilitate to get debilitate, and yeah, there's really not much narrative focus on these sodas, they're just a useful gameplay mechanic. They give you a little insight into the party member that you invite, and I'm a really big fan of Jazz Gin as a location. Like, this really is the type of bar where I would gladly hang out and enjoy a cocktail for myself. Unfortunately, the game makes sure that you can never enjoy the beneficial skill-granting sodas and the live music on the same nights, which is kind of a bummer. However, just for their appearance, sense of atmosphere, and mechanical usefulness, I think these are a really safe pick for the middle of this list. Coming in at number 2 is a relatively iconic soda in the series, Maiko's Mad Bull from Persona 3. So in order to start the Hanged Man social link with Maiko, she'll first ask you for some takoyaki. If you don't have it, no big deal, you can just go buy some. But after that, she'll say she's thirsty, and she'll specifically want a Mad Bull. So yeah, this soda is practically a key item for starting her social link, and that makes it pretty noteworthy in my eyes. Obviously, the English name, Mad Bull, is in reference to the popular energy drink Red Bull, but in Japan it was known as Moronamine G, a play on Oronamine C, a vitamin-filled soda from Japan. Moronamine G actually came back in Persona 5, but in the English version of that game it was known as Raw Punch instead of Mad Bull, and I have absolutely no idea why. But what's extra memorable in a frustrating way about Maiko wanting this specific drink is that you can only buy Mad Bull from the vending machines inside the dorm. And since entering the dorm automatically advances time, you're expected to already have this soda in your inventory when the day comes around to start Maiko's link. And if you don't have it, you're kinda screwed. If you're aiming for that max social link playthrough in Persona 3 Fest, honestly, you may as well just start your entire file over at that point with how little wiggle room that guide has. Reload actually changed it so that you could pick up the soda from the Iwatodai station, making it slightly less of a massive middle finger, which I do appreciate from the 3-make. See, I can say nice things about Reload. Buying the dorm vending machine drinks as soon as possible has just become ingrained in my brain whenever I replay Fest because of this exact moment. Also, on a somewhat unrelated note, maybe it's not a good idea for us to give this small child the most caffeinated drink available. But hey, whatever, she'll be at home bugging her parents by the time the caffeine kicks in, so it's not my problem. Good luck, Maiko's parents. Hope you're in a stable household where a hyperactive child won't cause any issues. Sometimes being the best is less about quality, but quantity. In Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, the Velvet Room attendant, Theodore, is just there. By the way, just throwing this out there, my genuine headcanon is that Theo is the one driving the limo in Persona 4. Yeah, I know in this scene he's still in the elevator, but the Velvet Room has weird logic, and I think him being the limo driver helps explain where he was in Persona 4, while also not making it weird that he's just here now in Ultimax. I don't know, what do you all think? I'd love to hear your input. Anyway, after Elizabeth left the room to go on her big epic quest that Atlus kinda seems to have forgotten about, Theo asks Margaret why Elizabeth left and what she's after, expressing his own interest in the outside world. Margaret then tasks Theodore with fetching her 100 cans of cola, and if he so happens to roam around and explore the outside world while on this errand, well, that's none of her business. I honestly really like this little mini-story, and Theo just kinda shows up every now and then in the story to interact with some of the characters. He attempts to track down Elizabeth, even finding crumbs from her favorite potato chips in one of the coffins, leading to this amazing Yosuke line read from Yuri Lowenthal.
Can we stop talking about potato chips?
If I ever do a top 5 potato chips in Persona, that's making the list. I think what I like the most about this little background plot of Theodore just searching for soda is that it not only pays off, but is part of the game's true ending. Like, it's such a silly little story, and I think Margaret concocting such an errand for him as a way to both mess with him and allow him to experience the outside world alone is sort of heartwarming. There's also a whole thing where Theo says he got all the cola by putting his money in the vending machine, disassembling the entire machine to remove the cans, and then putting the machine back together. Stuff like that is honestly why Theodore is my favorite Velvet Room attendant, and I really wish we got to see more of him, and shame on Reload for not including him properly. Hey, look at that, I'm already back to dumping on Reload. There's arguably not really anything all that special about the cans of soda themselves, but the narrative built around why Theodore is hunting them down in the first place. Plus, I absolutely adore Theo's recollection of how Elizabeth apparently described cola to him.
An ebon monster compressed into a metal cylinder, waiting for the moment its prison is released to spring into the eyes of the unwary spewing foam.
And so yeah, that's why the 100 cans of cola is my #1 soda in all of Persona. Alright, and there you have it, my top 5 sodas in the Persona series. Did I ignore some that you think should have made this list? How would your list have been different? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and feel free to drop your suggestions for future pointless Persona Picks lists. From surfboards to silverware, I'm willing to see what I can find. So until next time, take care.